Okay, first time attendings today. We got Tommy Papa. Papa.
Right. Yes,
Tell us a
sir.
little bit about yourself, Tommy. Where you fish at? Where you from? And
From New Orleans, and we moved to the North Shore, and we basically fish, you know, up the Lake Pontchartrain, Lake Bowen area, up in there, just recreational. Gotta find many of them and hungry when we catch them. You gotta be in packs and hungry.
okay. How'd you hear about the meeting?
I follow you on YouTube.
Okay, great.
I seen the video you put on there yesterday. We were crabbing out there. 2 days ago you were out there by the wall. Or whatever.
Yeah, ICW.
We crabbed over there yesterday.
Oh, okay.
It didn't do too well.
I hear you. Okay, we got CJ Weiner.
Weiner. Hi. I'm originally from New Orleans, and I fish my backyard Wrigley's Estates off the dock.
Okay.
I'm here because my husband comes here once a month. I want to see where you're doing.
She's checking up, making sure you come.
I was here last
Good. You can't tell her fish, right?
I was here last.
I gotta tell you stories about things that's been going on.
Make sure he shares that seafood platter, yo.
Oh,
You got your pink squid with the treble hook, and then about another 19, 20 inches down, you got your chartreuse squid with the treble hook. We use these a lot in our trolling when we troll the bridges and stuff in Lake Pontchartrain, and also in the ICW when we troll those rocks in that area. We also now use them with the drop shot, and I'll show you that setup here in a second. Basically, when you squid, first of all, if you're trolling with it, you can vary the size of the weight just depending on what you're doing and what you need. This is a 3/4 ounce jig head, and we just attach it to the eye of the hook like that, and you can put your favorite swim bait behind it. Okay, and we troll that along like that, and that really works really well in those fall to winter to early spring months. Okay, the other way we've used it is on your drop shot rig. Basically, a little swivel at the top, come down about 4 inches, do your little loop with a T-knot on it, and then down is your bank sinker here, and we attach it directly to the loop knot here. Okay? Now this is what we were utilizing in the ICW this month, but the conditions need to be right, guys. This rig is, with this much leader on it, really needs some current, okay? So you got to be fishing this where they got some moving water, okay? Moving water. So what happens is that sits on the bottom, your line's up like this, and this kind of just dances in the background. There's not much weight to this, so it doesn't take much to keep these things moving, okay? And they just dance in the background pretty much like that. Popping it every now and then, moving it, lifting it up and down. And that's pretty much what we've done. We've caught, with this rig, we've caught almost every species that we fish in these areas with this. From your trouts, redfish, croakers, catfish, sheephead, trout, bass, everything, guys. The other way that you can do this is under a cork.
One second, guys. If you throw it across the current and try to fish it across current, what it's going to do, it's going to roll along that bottom, and you're going to have one hell of a mess when you reel it in. So you really want to fish it like on a 45. Tide's going right to left. You want to fish it on a 45. You want to keep that current where it's going to keep those two trailers from away from the sinker. So the more you come this way, the more current you got, it could be right behind you. But if you throw it out this way in front of you or across, it's just going to roll along that bottom. It's going to be one hell of a mess.
Okay. The other way it's fished is directly under a cork, guys. You just attach this to the bottom of your cork, come down to your first to here, and I put like a little split shot right here to kind of keep this down, straight down to get you some weight, and then this kind of just floats in the background like this. Another good way to do it when those fish are up shallow and catching them. So that's the main ways we've been using it. And have had success in production with it.
In my video, I have it on a sliding cork.
Yeah.
I set it at 9 feet, and the like I said, the water's going that way, you just move your thumb off your spool, and that current's gonna take your sliding caulk away from you, just jerk it like that, and it'll just bounce up and down. I didn't catch nothing, but I think it's a viable solution. They just wasn't biting that day, man.
Anybody got any questions about that rig? As much weight, it kind of floats in the background, you know? This gets them on the bottom, and this gets them if they're, 12 to 18 inches off the bottom, okay? Okay, you got it up, boss? So anyway, this is just a little article that I came across and read and thought that it was interesting, and I'm just gonna hit on some of the major points, guys, real quick here. Okay, this is like, you always hear, well, the fish are deep, Well, why are they deep? A lot of reasons is because of the water temperature, So I thought it was really interesting to look at this part of it and say, okay, what's the difference in the water temperatures at certain depths, okay? Now, we all know that salt water is heavier than fresh water, so, salt water, the saltier is more towards the bottom. But if you look at this, you see ambient temperature, which is the outside air, is about 91.4 degrees. Your water temperature is somewhere around 87.3. Okay, now this is just for an illustration, saying, each body of water is different depending on what the conditions are that affect it. And we'll go into a little bit further into that, a little bit further into this, okay? But if you look at this, you got 91.4 degrees of ambient temperature. Water temperature is about the depth of the water, and what the difference in the change and the drop is, you kind of notice that, and where we fish is pretty much between 10 and 30 feet, in these times of the year. And you can look at the only difference in the temperature is 0.4 up to 30 feet is 1.7. So, if you got 87 degrees, water temperature, 30 feet down, that water temperature is only going to be about 86, 85 and a half, okay? But that little bit of difference makes a difference for these fish, okay? Go on down a little bit more, Bob. Okay, factors that influence the temperature change with depth. You got the ambient temperature outside, you got the solar radiation intensity, you got the cloud cover, you got the wind speed and duration, you got humidity and barometric pressure. So those are all the things right here, guys, that affect what the conditions are of your water. Now, in the water conditions, you got your water depth, you got the time of the day, the season of the year, the surface wave action, the water clarity, water color, salinity, dissolved oxygen, and density differences. I know this is like a foreign language, guys. I'm not trying to get too detailed. I'm just trying to set the parameters for why certain things happen, okay? So just bear with us, okay? Okay. One thing I did want to point out here is that, okay, go up, yeah, right there. The density differences. I found this to be very interesting because the difference between the density, and it's not up there, it's something I just did a little research on, but it's 2 to 3% salt water. I mean, salt water is 2 to 3% more dense than fresh water, okay? I thought that was an interesting aspect of it.
What does that mean?
Huh?
What does that mean?
Just means the density of water is thicker.
Does that mean salt water's gonna be low?
So that's, yeah, like, a lot of times when we fish in Lake Pontchartrain, it's been raining a lot. You go out there and you go fish those bridges, you see the water on the top is kind of brown and stuff, but you go out there and we've experienced many times with trolls, which the water is, 10 to 12 feet deep, and we're catching the hell out of trout. So the water up top says, it doesn't look good, because that's the fresh water sitting on top, and that salt water stays on the bottom of it. And it tends to be denser, and therefore, a lot of times it tends to be a lot cleaner, Go ahead to hydraulic.
What it means is that a gallon of salt water weighs a little bit more than a gallon of fresh water.
Yes,
That's right.
yes, yeah.
Weight
Okay.
per unit volume.
The hydraulic influences, okay? What affects these water temperatures and the oxygen? We got the tidal movement, we got current and velocity, we got river or bayou flow, we got freshwater runoff, we got groundwater, we got exchange of deeper offshore water, and we got rainfall events. What affects, go ahead a little bit more, the bottom characteristics that affect this is that we got mud bottoms, we got sand bottoms, we got shell bottoms, rock bottoms, and aquatic bottoms. Okay. There are also a few things about the geographic facts, like latitude and elevation and stuff like that, that I'll have to keep on going, boss. Okay. Measurement factors, we got the thermometer accuracy, the sensor calibration, and all of this. A little bit further, boss. Expected temperature pattern by bodies of water. I thought this was pretty interesting here, because you got your shallow marshes that run anywhere from 3 to 8 feet. You got little to no difference in temperature drop-offs, okay? In lakes that have 20 to 40 feet, you got anywhere from 2 to 8 degrees, okay? And then the only other one that really affects is maybe offshore Gulf. You got 5 to 20 degree differences. Go up a little more. Yeah, right there. For Lake Pontchartrain, these are the areas we kind of focus on, guys. For Lake Pontchartrain, Delacroix, Hopedale, Lake Bourne, and nearby Louisiana, most fishing depths are less than 20 feet. So wind, tides keep the water well mixed. So temperatures often vary less than 2 degrees, okay, from surface to bottom. A pronounced temperature gradient, like an example above, is much more likely in deeper waters of 100 feet. Go ahead, boss. All right, the other important factor here is the oxygen level, okay? Our fish, most of them need a lot of oxygen, especially speckled trout, okay? So, these things affect where they hang out and where that baitfish hang out that they are attracted to. You got your surface conditions, which is your ambient temperature, you got your water temperature, then you got dissolved oxygen. And then this little chart right here shows you water depths and what's the dissolved oxygen and what the fish activity in those areas are. And as you can see, for the most part, you got good all the way up to about 60 feet in depth, okay, with dissolved oxygen. But of course, that can be affected by whatever the surface and stuff is doing. Go ahead, boss. General dissolved oxygen guidelines, okay? Dissolved oxygen water quality. Above 8 foot, it's usually excellent, ideal for nearly all species. When you get down to 6 to 8 feet, it's pretty good. It's active feeding and healthy growth. Above 5 to 6 feet is mostly, this is in milligrams per liter. Okay, this is dissolved oxygen in those areas. It's not depth of water. I apologize. Reduced feeding activity. Go on up. Factors that influence the dissolved oxygen. The weather, the water movement. Go ahead, boss. The biological activity, and then your physical characteristics. Okay? And then you got seasonal effects. All of those things affect this. What does it mean for the fishing applications? Above 6 milligrams per liter, you fish are generally active and willing to feed. When you get below 4 to 6, then the fish are still present but conserve energy and relate to current and structure. Below 4, many species avoid areas if they're higher in oxygen water is available. Okay, go on down, boys. Keep on going. Key takeaways on this, guys. As the water temperature increases, its capacity to hold dissolved oxygen decreases. So the higher the water gets, guys, the less the oxygen is, the less the fish are able to survive in that, so they move on and find better conditions. Okay? This is why summer conditions can be particularly stressful for most fish. For our fishing research, the temperature, the depth of dissolved oxygen, salinity versus depth, and light penetration versus depth into a single field data sheet will provide a comprehensive picture of underwater conditions influencing where those fish are likely to hold and feed. Okay? Okay, these are the Effects of high water temperatures and low dissolved oxygen on a common trout forage. Okay, guys, so this is what your fish your trout are eating, and the oxygen and the temperatures have an effect on these. And so when you're putting all of this together, looking at what what's time of the year, what they're feeding on, you can kind of utilize some of this as you eliminate some of your spots that you want to fish. So your brown shrimp has a very high heat tolerance. Your white shrimp only moderate. The low DO tolerance, dissolved oxygen, is only moderate to moderate in shrimp. Your typical response is move with tidal currents and stay near bottom during the heat. And they migrate towards the cooler moving water. Okay? Effects of the trout fishing: trout often hold to the bottom, hold to current edges, and drop-offs. Also, the excellent bait for around bayous and bayou mouths and reefs. Okay? Going up, boss, a little bit? Okay. You got your mullets, your pogies, and your cockahos and your croakers, guys. And as you can see, your mullets have are excellent. Your pogies are moderate, and your cockahos are excellent. Okay, continue feeding, but seek moving water for your mullet. And it depends. One of the most dependable summer forages species is your mullet. Which reminds me of like in Lake Pontchartrain coming up probably next month. You know, a lot of times we'll go fish the bait slicks in Lake Pontchartrain, and the bait slicks are full of your mullet. And you know, the water temperature is still pretty warm. It's probably 88 degrees out there. But there's mullet live in that area at certain times of the year, and then we fish those pretty heavily at that time. Your pogies, they tend to form in tight schools, and they want to stay in oxygen-rich water. That's why they are out in the Gulf a lot, you know, and that's why we saw a lot of them come in earlier on in the year when we had all of the, you know, the salinity was real high in the lake. They tend to like that kind of high-rich oxygen areas. Marsh trout often are in the shadows of these schools. Your cockahos, they're pretty durable, as you can see. They can live in almost anything. They're excellent, and they remain active in marshes and shallow ponds, and they're reliable forage even during hotter months. Croakers, I don't fish a lot with live croakers other than when I go out to the islands, which I haven't been in quite a while. And as you can see, those really need a good, you know, moderate. They need good oxygen. They need good salinity levels, and they need you know, moderate temperatures to survive. And trout frequently stage nearby these areas where they are, move into canals, channels, and stronger currents. Go up, boss. All right. Species most affected by these hot, low oxygen conditions. These species are among the first to leave stagnant water. Would be your grass shrimp, your glass minnows, your pogies, and your croakers. As the oxygen decreases, they concentrate around bridge pilings, tidal currents, reef edges, bayou mouths, wind-driven shorelines, channels with moving water. Species most tolerant of the summer heat would be your cockaho minnows, your marsh minnows, your mullet, and your brown shrimp. Biological changes during the hot weather. As the water warms up from about 80 to 87 degrees, your metabolism increases, the oxygen demands rise, your water holds less oxygen, bait expends more energy simply just to breathe, and feeding periods become shorter. That's why, again, in this time of year, you know, you're feeding, your major catches are early in the morning, you know, not before 9, 10 o'clock. because that water just heats up too hot. How speckled trout benefit from this? Trout are optimistic predators. When bait fish become concentrated, trout expend less energy searching for food. The current delivers prey directly to them, to their ambush points. Their feeding efficiency increases, and larger trout are often positioned below bait schools waiting for injured or exhausted prey. Go ahead, Bob. You have best summer habitat for both bait and trout. Under conditions similar to your example, where we have the water temperatures, air temperature's about 92, your water temperature's about 88. The highest concentrated baits are typically found around bridge pilings, oyster reefs, channel ledges, passes, bayou mouths, current seams, windswept shorelines, tidal drains, submerged grass edges, and shell banks. Okay. Key fishing observations with all of this, guys. Many experienced Southeast Louisianians have noticed that on very hot summer days, trout are often not spread across the flats. Instead, they're gathered around conditions that overlap, like moving water, which replenishes the oxygen, abundant bait, which is concentrated by the current, and slightly cooler temperatures. It only needs to be 1 to 3 degrees cooler in those surrounding waters for them to survive in those areas and actively feed. The difference of only a few degrees temperature combined with even a modest increase of dissolved oxygen can shift an entire school of shrimp and bait fish into a reef edge, a bridge, or a channel. Speckled trout frequently follow those movements, which is why areas with strong tidal flow consistently produce fish during the hottest months. And a typical example of that is where we're fishing in the ICW, guys. You know, it's got the rocks, it's got a good tidal flow. You know, it has those areas that create oxygen for them. Go ahead, Bob. Is that it?